Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a Grafana Loki based log-based alerts and just some general querying intro as well. It's going to be part of the video. I'm going to build upon my yesterday's video where I installed Grafana Loki with oneclickinfra.com. But if you have any Grafana Loki, this video could be helpful anyways. So just as a recap, with one-click infra, we installed Loki, we picked Loki and we enabled it, and then we deployed it on the cluster. So here we have the Grafana installation on its own domain, and the Explore view could be your first go-to place. If you install Grafana with one-click infra, you get a couple of data sources predefined, like the Loki one, where you can start exploring your logs. With Loki, you get similar querying experience as for with Grafana. As for with Prometheus, it works with the various Kubernetes labels you have in the cluster. So if you have some sort of labeling strategy, you can start finding your labels and find your application that way. But a common place to go is maybe the app label. For example, if you install with one-click infra, the ingress controller is labeled with app equals nginx ingress. So for example, this is the access log of all your services. You can live tail it if you want to. This is the same experience as you would get with tail. I have a specific application for this demo. The app Kubernetes IO/instance. It's coming from a Helm chart, and I have an application called random logger, which is pretty cool. It just generates some log messages, error, debug, and info level log messages. And you can see the stream coming down here. If I stop the live logging, you can also see the volume as well, and the different error streams in color coded in this view. So that's pretty cool. You can see a nice steady humming of log messages. So I'm just looking at the last 15 minutes here, and so we have label selectors. So we have a log stream identified in Grafana Loki, and there are a few operators. Like if you want to search for a search term, you can just use the pipe equals sign and then just search for error. And if you do that, you'll only see the red log entries and the same error message all over again. I actually like Grafana Loki a lot better than many other logging solutions. For example, it has a very nice show context button where you can load many more previous lines, just like what you would do with tail or grep, actually. Lines before this line, lines after how many, and so on. So that gives you a nice context. I was struggling to have similar behavior with the Google Cloud's stack driver, by the way. So this is coming out of the box here. Also have some deduplication tools as well. For example, this shows that in this time frame, the exact same error message arrived 99 times. So if you need a more compact view of your logs, you can dedupe it. Cool, so this is one operator. You can also use the not equal sign. Actually, it's the same log lines all over again. So maybe if I just search for not error and delete this guy, I'm going to see everything else except error. And it also actually highlights the search term. So as you could see, this is color coded. So that's nice. So there are a few getting started articles with Grafana Loki querying, and I recommend you to read them. This one in specific talks about how to select the stream. What is a stream in the first place? What are labels? And then what kind of operators you can use. You've seen me, so this is the stream selector and the search expression. You have seen how I use these operators. And you can also use like a regular expression match in labels and also in text. So that's about it of querying. Now there is one more interesting thing. For example, if I don't want to sit in front of my logging tool all day long, but I want to be notified if something happens, if an error log entry arrives or it reaches a certain threshold. So there's another thing here, which is metrics, log-based metrics, and this cheat sheet helps you to get started with a few functions, aggregator functions. Count over time. Now the labels here are not the labels I need, but I can again pick the instance random logger and add the count over time function, which requires a time frame as well. And if I run the query, you can see actually multiple streams. I wonder why that is. I believe there was a redeploy in this time frame, so if I just look at the last 5 minutes, there is a nice stream right here. And this is just, so you can actually inspect here all the different labels that identifies this log stream. A distinct set of labels gives you a stream. And you can use the similar operators as before. So if I'm interested only in the error ones, I can add the error search operator or filter. You can see here there are like 120 log lines every 5 minutes, and if I run this one, then the error ones are a lot less. And actually, because this 5 minutes is like a moving window, a moving count, I can make it a little bit more eager to react on fluctuations in the numbers. I guess you didn't notice a change in this data set, but sometimes it's worth playing with this number because the time frame, the length of this window actually changes sometimes the shape of this line. Cool. So that's how you can search for or query for the actual numbers. Now, how to set up an alert on this one. Now, this is where Grafana gets a bit peculiar because first of all, you have to create a dashboard for it, and in the dashboard setup panel, you will find the alerting one. So I borrow this query, and I go to the dashboards home, or just go to the plus sign, and I create a new dashboard. Great, I'm adding a new panel, and I'm picking a data source. Now I'm picking Loki metrics, which I'm going to talk about in like 2 minutes, but first I want to paste my query, and just looking at the last 15 minutes here, so, or the last 5 minutes. And as I talked about, alerting, you can set up in the alerting tab of this panel. You can create an alert, and we can set the name, of course. Maybe first I'm going to name the panel, which is errors in logs, and then the rule is errors in logs, which will be evaluated every minute, and if some state holds for a whole minute, which state is fitting this condition, that the average of the number of this query is above a certain value, let's say 4, then suddenly on the UI you see a nice red line, and you can see that in these occasions Grafana would alert me, so that's great, and underneath it doesn't. You can also play around with this line. Sometimes it messes up the query, but I think it's a nice visual representation. So that's about the error rule, and I'm going to first save this one, the whole dashboard. And on the dashboard, if you come back to this dash, which I can definitely name like errors dash, if you come back to this dashboard, then you will always see this query and the error threshold. Now the alerting rules, you can validate your alerts on this one. Right now it's an unknown state. I believe it will change into an OK state rather soon, or an alert state. Now there was one thing that I postponed to explain until this point. If I go to my dashboard and go to the errors dash, when I was adding the query, I picked a different data source. Now I have two data sources. One is Loki and the other one is Loki metrics. And also the type is different. As you can see, one of them has the Loki icon and the other one is a Prometheus icon. Now this is a bit odd. If I go to my data sources setting, it's true that I have the same Loki instance added twice, once as a Loki and once as Prometheus. Now, why is that? If you go to the Loki website and the Grafana website, they will tell you about the limitation, but this GitHub issue is even more telling. Basically, Grafana alerting is only available for certain data sources. So it's a little bit rough on the edges. So Loki can behave like a Prometheus data source, and it will only work in the alerts panel and in dashboards if you add it as a Prometheus data source. There are various videos on the internet how to do that. Basically, you add the Loki URL and /Loki has to be added as well. Now, if you use one-click infra, remember oneclickinfra.com, then you would get these data sources out of the box. So that fits my promise that things that are included are playing nicely together and common use cases are actually working, and you don't have to dig into GitHub issues and other places. So back to the Grafana dashboard, I showed you how data sources must be defined and also showed you how to create a dashboard, the errors dash, and also how to set an error threshold and how to do log-based queries. Now we just go back to the alerting rules. It says pending. I believe the pending state means that the error state has to hold for a whole minute in order to trigger. I'm going to fast forward to that point once it's actually alerting. But for now, I thank you for your patience and thank you for watching this one. Thank you. So just a PS here, the alert returned to the OK state, and it was pending because the line is actually hovering around the error threshold, and it needs to hold for a whole minute in order to trigger the alert. And as you can see, Grafana puts nice little marks where an alert returned to an OK state, and actually you can see here the pending status showing that the alert was pending here, and if after a minute it would be in the same state, it would give us an alert. But it didn't, so that was why it was pending, and now this is in an OK state.